Hi, this is Ilka Cassidy with Passive House Accelerator, and thanks for tuning in to the special bonus episode of the Passive House podcast recorded at the International Passive House Conference 24 in Innsbruck, Austria. And a big thank you to Source 2050 for their support of the series. In this episode with Marius Soflete, we hear how an engineer from Romania becomes a Passive House YouTube influencer by translating technical language into practical advice for targeted audiences.
I wanted to translate engineerish into the normal language of the people, because when you start to speak with people about kilowatts, energy, different kind of factors, COP, and this kind of very technical stuff, people are just getting afraid. I've seen this approach on doctors, that they are much more oriented to understand the needs and the pains of the patient. So actually, that's where I've got. What are the needs of the people? Because, for example, energy efficiency, has this safety part. It makes, in the pyramid of Maslow, it has a very good position because it's offering our security. And actually, I felt this on my own. I became a passive house designer, even though I'm a structural engineer, because I liked a lot of physics. So I've studied a lot of physics. I've been National Olympic to the physics in school, and I was traveling all around the country in the high school in this kind of physics competition. But I'm coming from a very cold region of Romania, which we have winters with minus 21 degrees, minus 25 degrees. And in the early 2000s, we had a sort of a crisis because a lot of people went abroad to work. After the communist period, we got into the European Union and everybody just boomed, got outside to work. So many of the flats were like empty. That's why the local heat district heating systems were bankrupt. So they were sold to old iron. But people were not prepared not having heating in their houses, because the other people who were living in the cities, because half of the city remained, they seen themselves in 2 years with no gas, because we didn't have enough gas pipes distributed all over, no alternative in heating, and very cold winter. And in that moment, I've lived on my own skin a sort of an apocalyptic scene where actually people were putting heat stoves, fire stoves in their apartments. Nevertheless, they were, doctors, teachers, craftsmen, whatever. Everybody was just putting fire stoves and burning what could they burn? Clothes. So it's not a ghetto image. It's normal city image, but people fighting for the very cold and the lack of this kind of district heating. And I've remained with that image in my mind a lot of years, because the entire city was full of smoke and so on. And it took about 5 years until the new heating system, that was individual heating systems based on gas pipes and so on, was built in the entire city. And then I went to the college, the university. I've studied civil engineering, but at the end of the university, I've been part of solar decathlon competition, and I was part of the first Romanian team that got to this competition. And then I've reconnected with the energy efficiency principles, and I've reconnected with my image about what happened in my sort of a childhood. And that's when I started to understand the importance of transition to independence in the energy part. And that's why I've understood that it's a very basic need of the humankind. So that's why I've took this kind of kilowatts and all the building physics, very hard to digest part, and translated to simple needs. And then from simple needs, the idea of comfort and the idea of you're independent. It's your own choice. So also we can choose how can be more and more independent with our homes, with our houses, which are they are a base need. So that's why it's an entire journey of becoming a sort of translator. And I've seen that the impact is much more bigger. Yeah. And people, when you speak with them in very technical way, because they don't know or don't understand, including professional people, because I'm working with a lot of architects. I'm not working with a lot of engineers, other engineers. They get refractive, so like they push you back. It's normal. If you try to speak with me about cars, like my colleague does, I'll push him back because I don't know cars. I don't understand cars. I don't like cars.
Yeah. So how did you go about becoming an influencer? Because I mean, that's kind of all of our dreams, right? Reaching a lot of people with this message. So what was your journey towards becoming that?
I was never thinking on this. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, probably I would beat you with a stick, because I just wanted to be an engineer. I loved doing engineering. I still love doing engineering. And I was imagining myself staying 10 hours per day with my headphones on my ears and with 2, 3, 4 monitors designing continuously. But I did this. So I've designed a lot of buildings, interesting buildings. But actually, it was a process of projects that were coming to me, that each project had a little step in communicating. It started with the Solar Decathlon competition, where I was a student. I was coordinating the engineering department, but we had to raise money for our project. So in order to raise money, you have to communicate, because it's a fundraising strategy. So we had one colleague in the communication department that was taking each one of us, and he was starting to make trainings with us. But I was speaking very, very poorly and badly. So I couldn't speak anything else about engineering. So in that project, we had about 2 years of training in public speaking and in communicating with other people in the team. This is also important, because about bubbles. Mm-hmm. Even us as architects, engineers, building service engineers, we are in our bubble. We are not connected. Yeah. And each one is with its own world. So we had this communication. So within this project, we had a communication request. Mm-hmm. Because we had 10 competitions. So one of the competition was the communication part. And then when this project finished, I've opened my own company. And one of the first customers who came to me, he wanted a passive house in Romania because he had the same problem with the gas. And he was doing marketing. So he, as an owner and as his business, he was doing marketing. So because it was much more expensive to build a passive house, he started to do a marketing strategy on this, and he started to communicate, and he involved me. So actually I've continued that student project into a real life project, again with marketing, not just engineering, because he was giving me free hand to propose solution, but then he was pushing me to discuss with the suppliers and to negotiate with them, okay, and to say, why is this solution better and that one is not better. And then we started to make tours with people that were coming to the house. So I had to explain them and to make tours and to explain them what's a passive house. And I was getting very technical, and I was seeing that the life was going out from the people when I started to speak in kilowatt hours and so on. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, the National Chamber of Architects in Romania, they had a sort of a conference where the president of the National Chamber came on this work site. So he told me, hey, that's a very cool project. Won't you want to come and to explain to other architects this project? So this is how I've seen myself traveling in the old subsidiaries of the National Chamber, speaking about this project. So it was a sort of an unconscious shift. That while I was starting to speak, I was training myself how to speak and how to speak and how to speak. And then I made another cool project, which was a mountain shelter raised with a helicopter. The national television made a documentary. They were interviewing me. So I started to appear on the glass. How do we say? That documentary went on Discovery Channel. So it's like, boom. People started to recognize me. You are the guy from the TV and so on. And then more and more projects that involved communication came. And the peak was that one of the biggest IT bloggers from Romania wanted to make a house. He founded me because I was starting to appear on TV and so on, speaking about the projects. He contacted me, he took me in his team, and this is how we've built the first premium passive house that was certified in Romania, 2017. But he was starting to do videos for his blog and to finance actually the house. So being very influent, actually, he pushed me on the YouTube. I was, okay, I have to speak now. In parallel, actually, in these times, I was contacted by TEDx to hold some speeches. And actually, that was the real moment when I've received a very hard, intensive training in public speaking. Okay. And that's the moment when I realized that this kind of thing can be taught. So, okay, you are not, you are a very introvert and you are not getting born with this gift of speaking, but it can be trained, like mathematics can be trained, like painting can be trained. Of course, talent, it's a very good thing, but 90% it's hard work. So this kind of TEDx speeches helped me a lot because they were giving me professional trainings, and hardcore trainings, having the entire speech very, very condensated and so on. Coupled with this IT blogger. And that was a moment when I've seen that there's an interest in people that wanted to hear more about constructions, about building better. So this is when I started with Darius, who's here in 2019. We've made the first videos, on our own, because what I've seen working with a journalist and other influencer is that my technical speech was used too much in a commercial one and in, selling stuff. So I wanted to dissociate myself and to be seen as a specialist who has a neutral point of view with this goal of educating. And that's why I went alone in this alone with Darius and my colleagues on this journey. So this was actually the catalysator, the rocket fuel. Of course, there were other two motives. One of the motives was that one of my clients got very ill due to the stress that he had within the project, and nobody was saying to him, it's usually to build a house, it's quite stressful. So I wanted to protect other people from this kind of stress. And that's why it was an extra motive. And then the third element that pushed me on YouTube is that I was starting to do courses with the National Chamber of Architects. So I was receiving a lot of requests for courses and a lot of questions. So I started to do videos like answering to those questions, not just repeating them and repeating and staying all day long on the phone, because I had periods when I was speaking about 10 hours per day. So instead of working 10 hours per day alone, I was being a call center 10 hours per day. And here things just went like a snowball. It just grew more and more and more because it has a very interesting energy. And this energy comes from the impact that I was starting to see daily. So after the first 10 videos on the YouTube, when the YouTube channel started also to grow, people were meeting me on the street. And they were saying, hey, what a cool video, I've seen it. So it helped me because I wanted to put 5 centimeters of insulation, but now I'm thinking to 10. Okay, it's not 30 as a passive house, but it's an improvement. Hey, I wanted to put windows, so I won't put two pane glazing, I will put triple pane glazing. Thank you for your advice. So that gave us enthusiasm to do videos. And then, of course, having an engineering office, I've started to document my own projects. Hey, look how we are doing this kind of projects and houses. So the main idea is that I never thought I would become an influencer. I never wanted, but it happened. So it was sort of a chain of events, actually, that brought me here, and a lot of work.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, it's definitely sounds like it's a very a strand of a lot of coincidences, a little bit. But what I always see is these happen, right, to a lot of people, but you still have to step up to the plate and really deliver. And it sounds like that step by step you learned and trained and put a lot of work in, and every time delivered, because otherwise people wouldn't come back, right? And I think the key to that is also first what you said about changing your language, that noticing, okay, that is the moment where people just start falling asleep, basically. And this is the moment when they actually listen to me, and then really slowly adjusting to the positive feedback. And I think that's a huge thing that we all need to learn from a little bit, because I feel like we're so in our very technical bubble a lot, and we're proud of that too. We like to be geeks. and we like to talk to people that, respond in a certain way. But maybe there's a little bit of a lack of self-reflection working that way. So I really think it's amazing what you're doing, and you are reaching a ton of people.
Well, yes. And again, it wasn't necessarily meant it, but it was a hard road of delivering, and it is a very important aspect in this. And more important, it's to build trust, to offer trust, and to gain trust. And trust, actually, it's the most sensitive part between humans, because it's connecting the human people between them, having trust each other. And then it's very hard to build. It's like an castle made from, not sand, made from playing books, from playing cards. It's very hard to build, and it's very easy to lose. So all the time, our main mantra was trust, trust, trust. Never let trust in what we are doing, because we can lose it very, very fast. And this is actually that people connected with this trust. They understood things that it's in their benefit and in their health and in their needs. So they just started to come more and more and more, and they started to influence their neighbors, friends, family, and so on. And it just grew. Like in one point, it started to grow exponentially, and we've been scared that we are losing control somehow. But we also raised the team, and we go further with this. And that's why it's important that with trust you connect to the people, and then you make them understand what's the benefits that they have on this. I've discovered where are the breaks and the breaches, and where are the problems, and I went there to solve the problems, and I've connected them. That's why, for example, most of the videos are oriented to a kind of consumer. If I want to speak with the architects, there's a video for the architects, 80%. 20% of that video, it's made for craftsmen or for building owners or for engineers, so that when an engineer is looking to this video, he will connect to the video with the architect. And then if I make a video for the craftsmen, like working as a craftsman, I put 20% of the engineering in that video, so that he can connect with the engineer. So actually, through these videos, I've just connected the dots, the chain of the construction. Because we are here at the Passive House conference. When you do a Passive House, you have this entire certification and quality control process. Every single detail is very important. But if somebody is having a mistake, like the air tightness, then the entire process just ruins. So you just connect it in the chain.
That's really important, and I think that's something that we talk about a lot, like this concept of bursting the bubbles, that especially with Passive House, I mean, as you said, things have to work, have to be coordinated a lot more than in regular buildings. So we do have to communicate and learn how to communicate with each other better. And what you said about gaining trust, I think that's something really important, and everyone should learn from that and really figuring out what builds trust. And I think a big part of that is probably your early decision that you didn't want to come across as too salesy.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's something that turns people off really quickly, because they realize, oh, this person has another motive, right? There's some kind of sales behind it. There's some kind of monetary value behind what he's trying to teach us. So I think that was a really, really good decision, and probably the basis of gaining the trust with all these different people. And then again, trying to be a translator and speaking every language. So how many followers do you have? Because I know that there are big numbers, very impressive numbers.
Well, to start with this, we have done, and I say we have, even though the channel has my name, Marius Soflete, we are a people of 8. So the team is made from 8 people, but actually I have also my colleagues, engineers, with whom I'm also doing content. We have 500 videos done in 5 years, meaning 100 videos per year. That was our target. So it was from the beginning. It was like, I think it was a stupid thing. Let's make 100 videos per year. We don't know why. Let's just do it. So we did it.
how long are these?
Well, 5 years ago, they were at about 1 hour because people were consuming this kind of videos. Then now, because social media went in the area where everything is much more short, like TikTok style stuffs and so on, the YouTube videos, we've compressed them to 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Or if we have bigger subjects, we make episodes like series, because people don't have now enough patience, especially the new people. Yeah. And today we have 80,000 followers, which are official followers, that not official, the people who gave follow on YouTube. But actually the real numbers from YouTube, it's like almost 300,000 unique viewers, because not everybody is pushing subscribe. There is not this motive for the people. This in a pool of 22 million native speaking Romanians. And my main focus was the Romanian language, because you can find a lot of information in English, in German, and so on, but it didn't have the impact. It's like, this passive house standard is a German thing. We don't need it here in Romania because we have gas and so on. And the total views of these 500 videos were 12 million views, which compare with 22 million native speaker Romanian, it means that at least theoretically, 1 from 2 Romanians have heard about energy efficiency through these videos, or even though if he didn't watch the video, I'm sure that somebody who seen the video told him, like, look.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how do you see that translating into actual projects and passive house education amongst builders and architects and homeowners?
Well, I've started to teach also certified passive house trainers and designers in 2017, and I'm still teaching. I'm seeing a continuous growth and a continuous interest in the market for the architects. I'm seeing a great interest also in building fabricators, building producers, and not that much in the craftsmen directly, but the companies that they have craftsmen, they started to be interested. So the interest, it's there. The biggest interest it's in the common people, in common people who wants to do a house. So for example, even though I didn't want it, so I was not thinking on YouTube as a marketing tool, it became a very powerful marketing tool for my engineering department. I have 16 colleagues, architects and engineers, and we are fully booked for 1.5 years in advance almost. Towards us are coming projects that they are exclusively certified passive houses. People are waiting to work with us, for example. Even though, I repeat, it wasn't meant to be. We do not negotiate anymore our fees because we are fully booked. And even though like this, I'm helping other offices. So I'm sort of creating satellite offices because people don't want to wait after us so much. So I said, okay, work with this guy. He did my trainings, pay him well because he knows what he's doing. So actually the business is growing because he can sell his products better. I'm delivering my trust to him. The owner who's building takes my trust. He goes to this office, and I see a very big growth in the local market. In the last year, I don't think that I had a discussion with somebody trying to convince him to do a passive house. I just was listening the new customers and just scheduling them in our office when they do. I see the same thing with the retrofit. People started to understand that they need to update their old buildings and so on. So I'm very happy what's happening because I have to be thankful to the universe or something because I felt that I've been in the right place in the right moment with the right project. So if I had started 10 years before, it was too early. Today, I think it's too late to start. It wouldn't have the same impact because I'm seeing other kind of YouTube channels that are started to grow and to appear, and it's hard to grow for them. Mm-hmm. And I have to be very grateful for this.
Yeah. No, it sounds really like Passive House is taking off in Romania, so Romania is not going to be known just for Dracula anymore.
No, and for Sarmale and Via Transilvanica.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
With pleasure. So my advice is that we really need to communicate in this period. So we really need to go outside the bubbles. We need to learn how to speak architects with engineers, engineers with craftsmen, architects with owners, and so on. So we need to learn how to speak between us. And we need to understand social media around us, because it's growing in a way that, for me, sometimes it's overwhelming that I cannot keep it up to date with everything that's happening on social media. So unfortunately, I don't like to say this, but today you need to be on social media, and people have to know you, must know you from online, so that then you can connect them physically. Door-to-door experiences are not anymore the future.
Yeah.
So go on this, and it can be learned. Don't be afraid of this.
Well, and I think that's a big point or takeaway too, that it's more or a lot more successful if you first of all really understand the platform, but also realize that you need to be good at it. Like, it's not just kind of, and that you train, that you educate yourself on how to do this. It's not just, knowing about energy efficiency or knowing how to do passive house, but it's also really learning how to communicate that.
Yeah. Here's an important thing that people confuse today: the influencer name. Usually the influencers are just doing fashion or, I don't know, very, very high interest subjects. Then they do a lot of, what I'm seeing in the general term of influencing is people that are very superficial, but they have a lot of followers, millions of followers. The other strategy is just go deeper, come out yourself as a very good specialist, deliver trust, and do a little bit of edutainment. So combine entertainment with education, that you grab the people's attention, but never go out on being a professional. So, because again, trust, it's hard to win, easy to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, also the term of being canceled. Yeah. That can happen very, very quickly. Yes. But I feel like, if you're not superficial, I think everyone understands that you could make mistakes here and there, right? And especially if you earned the trust and people understand it's not really self-motives that you have, it's really trying to do the best. I feel like you could probably get through some things that didn't work out so well without being canceled right away.
It's a learning curve. Yeah. We had mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I did mistakes. And there were moments when very fast the community just snapped me. So I had to be aware on that, because, okay, that was my mistake when I've received a lot of pokes. Mm-hmm. So, okay, something went wrong there, and I came out and I just realized what was not what was not working good, and corrected immediately. Of course, for example, now I've started to do, because it became a business. Again, it wasn't meant to be, but having 8 people in the team and working 100% as my full-time job, it's a full-time job, so it's a business. We are making partnerships with companies, but for example, one of the rules is that if we speak about products, they have to be only certified passive house products. Mm-hmm. So actually here I'm using the trust of the institute. Mm-hmm. It's again trust. Then the products have to be very good. And then we have to deliver education within this video material. And this product should be viable on the local market. And it's not the only one. So it's not the only window. It's a window that it's certified. It's made on wood and so on. Let's speak about it. And it has, we've seen companies that with us, they had growth of 600% in sales in Romania. For example, in ventilation, it was like booming for them, and they are just coming year and year, and let's speak about the new products and so on. So everybody's happy actually, because people are buying ventilation. Now they've brought the cheapest ventilation that it's lower than a new phone, for example. So you don't need to sell your car, you just need to sell your phone to put ventilation. So but it's a very fine line.
Yeah. So what's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is called Marius Soflete. It is in Romanian. It's the same with the Instagram account, which is called Marius Soflete. Mm-hmm. And it's in Romanian. It has so if you go at playlists, there's a playlist with videos that are in English or have English subtitles, because I made interviews like with Wolfgang Feist 5 years ago, and another kind of podcast that were in English, so I have them there. Or we've integrated manually subtitles that were checked before and so on. Well, I'm not doing just by phone, I'm doing with a professional team. Mm-hmm. I have 3 colleagues who are doing only the video part, meaning filming, processing, post-production, sound, image, coloring, and so on. Mm-hmm. I have 1 colleague who's doing graphics, infographics, and animation. 1 colleague who's doing copywriting and text. So actually, I've took the principle of designing a passive house, like every detail counts, and I've translated it in a video where every second counts.
That's awesome. That's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.